Post-training notice. National First-Class Registered Exorcist. Extra Chapter. Yaoguia Mobilization, Part 1. You're actually not reading stories anymore, Zhi Xiaoduo smiled. Xiang Cheng smiled back and said, I suddenly felt that poetry is also good. It was given to me by a friend who came from afar. Zhi Xiaoduo. Xiang Cheng closed his poetry anthology and asked, Are you hungry? Last night, Zhi Xiaoduo had expended too much energy and was indeed very hungry. Xiang Cheng rubbed his nose bridge and affectionately said, Now you are mine. And then what? Zhi Xiaoduo smiled, Is there some kind of ceremony? I'll hand over my salary card. Xiang Cheng said, You can manage my money, but don't spend it recklessly. Zhi Xiaoduo laughed and said, Actually, I don't manage money well. How about I give you the money instead, ba? Okay, Xiang Cheng said, I'll give you a credit card to swipe. Xiang Cheng took out his wallet, handed Zhi Xiaoduo a secondary credit card, and said, On another day, we'll get your signature verified, so then it doesn't matter who signs for it. Zhi Xiaoduo also flipped through his wallet and handed Xiang Cheng a savings card, which contained his 3-month salary deposit of over 60,000 yuan. After exchanging cards, they were now a family. Zhi Xiaoduo suddenly felt that it was very funny, and Xiang Cheng said, I prepared a ring for you. Wait. Wow. What's going on? Outside the inn, things grew noisy, with tourists yelling, and a crowd forming. What's happening? Zhi Xiaoduo got up from bed in confusion and put on his clothes. He was exhausted from last night, and his legs were still trembling, making him unable to stand steadily. Xiang Cheng hugged him and got him to stand up and put on his clothes. This was a warm winter, with clouds and mist permeating Lianhua mountain. Spring was still over a month away, but this morning, the sunlight shone warmly, breaking through the thick clouds and casting a glow over the earth. Overnight, the peach trees scattered throughout the mountain seemed to have been awakened by a strange force, and the entire Lianhua mountain was filled with blooming peach blossoms. Ah ah ah! Zhi Xiaoduo shouted loudly, Isn't it not yet spring? How have the peach blossoms already bloomed? Zhi Xiaoduo opened the window, and a warm breeze blew in with a huala, sending thousands of petals swirling in. The tourists outside had gone crazy, and everyone rushed out to see the peach blossoms. It was the cold winter and the 12th month of the year, and although Guangzhou was very warm, it was really rare to see all the peach blossoms blooming during the season. Go brush your teeth and wash your face. We'll go down later and have lunch, Xiang Cheng said. I reserved a table with the boss in advance. Under the peach blossom tree, there was a table with 2 cups of clear tea, petals fluttering through the air. Xiang Cheng sat at the table, talking on the phone. The sun was neither too hot nor cold, and everything was just right. Zhi Xiaoduo happily sat down, and the boss brought out 2 tender steaks. Where will we go later? Zhi Xiaoduo asked. We'll go up the mountain to see the peach blossoms, Xiang Cheng replied. Do you have any places you want to go? Zhi Xiaoduo said, No, let's just take a walk around and save some money. This meal must be very expensive. Xiang Cheng smiled and said, It's all right, I know the boss. Xiang Cheng's phone kept vibrating. Zhi Xiaoduo glanced at it and saw that it was an unknown number. Xiang Cheng answered the phone. The other side seemed to say something, and Xiang Cheng said, Figure it out yourself. Is there something going on at the company? Zhi Xiaoduo asked. Don't mind them, Xiang Cheng said. They call all day long with questions about everything, it's so annoying. Zhi Xiaoduo said, If you're busy, let's go back first. It's fine with me, how about I also go to work with you? Xiang Cheng replied, Don't worry. Xiang Cheng turned off the phone without any hesitation, and Zhi Xiaoduo just found it funny. Xiang Cheng said, I will resign the day after tomorrow when we return. Before I report to my new workplace, I'll have a month of vacation time. Why don't we go on a trip then? Okay Ji Xiaoduo said, where do you want to go to play? At this moment, Ji Xiaoduo's phone also rang, displaying the name Qi Wei on it. Hello, Kikai. Ji Xiaoduo smiled and answered the phone, while Qi Wei's voice was frantic on the other end. Tell Xiang Cheng quickly. That guy is coming your way. Ji Xiaoduo, who? What's coming over? Suddenly, the earth shook violently, and something unknown rushed down towards the peach blossom forest. Ji Xiaoduo. Xiang Cheng, watch out. With a loud bang, Ji Xiaoduo felt the sky spin around him. The tremor first overturned the table and poured tea all over him, and Xiang Cheng's hands and head were covered in sauce. Just like a bomber flying straight towards Lianhua mountain and then colliding again, Ji Xiaoduo looked up and saw a huge black figure. Ji Xiaoduo. Immediately after that, more people rushed over and someone shouted, clear the stage first. Clear the stage. Don't worry about that. Qi Wei roared angrily, don't let it escape. Wait for me here. Xiang Cheng covered Ji Xiaoduo under the tree and said, I'll be back soon. Ji Xiaoduo said, let's go together I'll help you. The whole mountain was in chaos, and a group of Yaoguia suddenly emerged from who knows where, all maintaining their formation. What is that? Ji Xiaoduo asked. A dragon. Daddy. Lang Dog ran out and pounced on Ji Xiaoduo, who was being shielded behind a tree. Xiang Cheng stepped onto the dining table and spun in mid-air, transforming into a coiled azure dragon, roaring and flying into the sky. A red western dragon spread its wings. It was over 30 meters long, with red eyes and spikes on its tail. It spewed flames and set the entire peach blossom forest ablaze. Yaoguia rose one after another through the mountains, but they were not a match for the western dragon. Where the dragon's flames swept by, fires burned fiercely, and black smoke rose into the sky. Daddy. Careful. Lang Dog, wearing a suit, had his back to the fire, and a large area of his back was set ablaze. Ji Xiaoduo quickly helped him pat it out, and in an instant, more strange monsters flew down. They looked like western gargoyles, and they chased after Ji Xiaoduo and Lang Dog. Ji Xiaoduo's jaw dropped as he looked up at the sky. The scene in front of him really challenged his cognitive limits. It was just like in a romantic movie. No, it was like halfway through a gay romance movie, the film had suddenly entered popcorn fantasy mode. Qi Wei piloted a Jiao dragon and flew over, circling around the outskirts of the battle, fighting alongside the soaring azure dragon against the evil dragon. The azure dragon grabbed the red dragon's neck with its two claws, and the two dragons breathed fire at each other. The dragon flames spewed out by the azure dragon were azure, while the dragon flames spewed out by the evil dragon were a purple-red. The azure and red flames colliding into each other resulted in an explosion. Ji Xiaoduo was still watching, and hundreds of 2-meter-high bats were already charging towards him and Lang Dog. Wu Lang Dog transformed into its true form, and a huge German wolfhound, all grey and with a flame rune on its forehead, shielded Ji Xiaoduo. Run away quickly, Lang Dog roared in a low voice. Immediately after, Lang Dog rushed towards the pack of bats. Wait. Ji Xiaoduo felt the world spin around him as he was picked up by a bat. Ji Xiaoduo shouted loudly, being thrown flying by one bat and landing in another bat's hands. Careful! A man's voice sounded. With a loud bang, a frosty gale burst out, and in an instant, something flew from the mountain behind Ji Xiaoduo towards the bat swarm. The bat dancing around in midair immediately howled and landed on the ground. A figure flew up from the ground and hugged Ji Xiaoduo. He's safe! Shouted another man. Don't let him get hurt! The previous man shouted. Ji Xiaoduo calmed down to look and saw that it was actually the middle-aged man, Chen Hao, who he had met before. Immediately afterwards, Dane rushed down the mountain and shouted, Zhi Xiaoduo. Are you okay? I. Zhi Xiaoduo finally calmed down. Up above, one dragon and one Jiao were still fighting against the western dragon. What's going on? Zhi Xiaoduo said frantically. Aren't you a Yao subduing engineer? Dane said anxiously, can you think of some plan? Don't let Lorcan enter the city, otherwise there will be a lot of trouble. That's right. Zhi Xiaoduo suddenly remembered, am I not a Yao subduing engineer? Zhi Xiaoduo. Yes, I am a Yao subduing engineer. I am a Yao subduing engineer. Zhi Xiaoduo. Zhi Xiaoduo suddenly felt a sense of his Ren and Du meridians connecting, but what exactly had happened? What kind of dragon is that? Zhi Xiaoduo asked. A decaying evil dragon. Chen Hao frowned deeply and said, we have been searching for a solution to it this entire time. We thought we could have a strong assistance when we returned to the motherland, so we contacted the Yao Association several times. They said that the person in charge of the Yao Association was busy dating. A decaying evil dragon, Zhi Xiaoduo murmured, what has caused the decay? Can it fly? Send me up to take a look. No way, Dane said, its claws are flying everywhere in the air. Zhi Xiaoduo lowered his head and dialed Qi Wei's phone, but the other party couldn't answer, indicating that the fight was going at full swing. At this moment, Lang Dog rushed towards Zhi Xiaoduo. Dane and Chen Hao were surprised and thought it was another Yaoguia, but Zhi Xiaoduo quickly waved his hand, flew forward, and jumped onto Lang Dog's back. Lang Dog had a Hermes bag in its mouth, and it tossed it out. Zhi Xiaoduo grabbed it in his hand and strapped it to his back. Zhi Xiaoduo reached out and flipped through the bag, revealing both the demon subduing staff and the Yao binding rope. Daddy! What should we do? Lang Dog asked. Notify all the Yaoguia to withdraw, Zhi Xiaoduo said. Form a circle around the perimeter, contact Fengli and have him open the portal to airdrop in support troops. Lang Dog, carrying Zhi Xiaoduo, took a few steps and jumped onto the roof of the inn. Woo-ao-ao-ao-ao. With a ground-breaking wolf's howl, the earth moved like waves, and the Yaoguia withdrew from the peach forest in waves. The Azure Dragon and Immortal Jiao noticed what was happening on the ground, and Zhi Xiaoduo rode on the back of Lang Dog, facing the sky, observing the figure of the evil dragon. The dragon and Jiao began to push the evil dragon towards the ground, but the blood-red giant dragon seemed to sense the enemy's intention. It flapped its wings and soared towards the mountaintop. Send me up, Zhi Xiaoduo said to Lang Dog. With a whimper, Lang Dog used its full strength to jump up the mountain slope, accelerated along the protruding ridge, and rushed up to the tops of the tree like flowing clouds and mist. Zhi Xiaoduo tightly hugged Lang Dog's neck and faced the tallest pine tree at the end of the cliff. Jump! Zhi Xiaoduo shouted. Lang Dog used its inertia to jump over several large trees in a row, and finally pounced with the momentum, hanging on a tree with Zhi Xiaoduo, pressing the pine tree into an arc. Immediately after the pine tree rebounded, Zhi Xiaoduo's body lightened, and he was sent up to a height of 20 meters. He opened his arms and flew towards the battle. In an instant, the Jiao passed by, and Qi Wei grabbed Zhi Xiaoduo's wrist with one hand. Go! Qi Wei shouted loudly. Zhi Xiaoduo flew towards the Azure Dragon, who lowered its head and drifted sideways to catch Zhi Xiaoduo. Where did it come from? Zhi Xiaoduo shouted. Last month, 2 foreigners. Xiang Chen whispered in his own voice. However, before he could finish, the evil dragon rushed forward, opened its maw, and bit at Zhi Xiaoduo, who was on the dragon's head. The Azure Dragon made a 180-degree rotation, released its soaring energy, and fell straight to the ground with Zhi Xiaoduo. At the moment when in close combat with the evil dragon, Zhi Xiaoduo suddenly widened his eyes and saw that the evil dragon seemed to be decaying all over, emitting foul-smelling black qi. That was a pterosaur, and it seemed to be decaying from devil magic. Its chest, abdomen, and half of its wings were so rotted that purple-black flesh was revealed, and gray-white dragon bones also poked out from its wings. "Hold on tight!" Xiang Cheng's voice roared. The pterosaur failed to strike home and turned to pounce on Qi Wei. They watched as the pterosaur grasped the immortal Jiao's body with one claw and was about to spew fire on it when the immortal Jiao took the opportunity to roll and entangle with the pterosaur. The azure dragon carried Zhi Xiaoduo and flew towards Qi Wei and the immortal Jiao. Zhi Xiaoduo shook out the bundle in midair and the demon-subduing staff spun in the air. In an instant, Xiang Cheng shifted into human form, and relying on the force of momentum, he grabbed the demon-subduing staff and swung it. The demon-subduing staff glowed bright and reformed into the sword of wisdom, chopping down at the shoulder of the pterosaur. The pterosaur roared in pain and forcefully pushed away the immortal Jiao, drawing up a flame that already reached its throat before rushing towards Xiang Cheng and Zhi Xiaoduo. "Ah!" Zhi Xiaoduo yelled loudly, and Xiang Cheng hastily transformed into an azure dragon again, colliding with the flying pterosaur. In an instant, there was an earth-shaking crash as the azure dragon's massive body tilted towards Lianhuashan Park, crashing into the Guanyin Wanghai statue with a loud bang. The dragon's body carrying Zhi Xiaoduo ran straight along the ground and fell into the park. The pterosaur spread its wings, splattered blood everywhere, and rushed towards the two of them. "Xiang Cheng! Xiang Cheng!" Zhi Xiaoduo shook Xiang Cheng and shouted loudly. The two of them were totally disheveled from the fall, with Xiang Cheng's head streaming with blood and the moonlight stone anklet breaking, falling to the ground. "Damn it!" Xiang Cheng gritted his teeth and propped himself up, wanting to run off and hide with Zhi Xiaoduo. However, Zhi Xiaoduo picked up their moonlight stones and intertwined them, holding them in his hands and intertwining their fingers. "It has been corroded by devil qi," Zhi Xiaoduo shouted. "The moonlight stone can deal with it." Quicker than he could explain, the pterosaur had already pounced in front of them. Xiang Cheng hugged Zhi Xiaoduo and had him bury his head in his shoulder, clasping their fingers tightly together. The sky was filled with dragon fire, and the pterosaur pounced ferociously towards the top of Lianhua Mountain. Amidst the wind and clouds, Xiang Cheng held Zhi Xiaoduo in his arms, holding the moonlight stones in his hand, and the pendants were prominently placed in their two palms. In a twinkling of an eye, the two of them simultaneously pushed the moonlight stone outward. A strong wind blew, and their hair and clothes danced wildly. The power of the azure dragon flowed around the two of them, forming a strong aura that then injected into the magical artifact. The moonlight stones burst out with a purified strong light, suddenly shooting out, and covering the entire body of the pterosaur. The pterosaur roared fiercely, painfully escaping the light field emitted by the moonlight stones, black smoke erupting from its body. And in the next moment, behind them, the teleportation portal exploded open. The sacred land reinforcements arrived, and millions of birds rolled out like a tsunami. The pterosaur dared not fight anymore. Instead, it turned around and staggered up into the clouds, breaking away from the battle. Zhi Xiaoduo. Xiang Cheng had a scratch on his head, and blood was smeared across his entire head. He couldn't help but gasp for breath. The two of them looked at each other, and the corner of Zhi Xiaoduo's mouth twitched. "Manager Xiang, is this your part-time job?" Zhi Xiaoduo asked. "Not exactly." Xiang Cheng didn't know whether to laugh or cry, "That's why I said that soon. I plan to switch jobs." The light from the teleportation portal grew brighter and brighter, and Feng Li rode out on the back of the grey wolf. "Kill it!" Akita's voice shouted loudly. Where's the enemy?" "Xiang Cheng." "Zhi Xiaoduo." Chaos surrounded them from all sides. Everywhere there were swarms of corpses fallen in battle, soldiers rushing in to defend their king. Zhi Xiaoduo looked at everything in front of him and thought to himself, "Thankfully, Chen Zhen's heart disease has already been cured." That night, Lianhua Mountain in Panya caught fire this afternoon. The cause of the fire is currently under investigation. A helicopter crashed into the park due to unclear visibility, but fortunately, the statue of Guanyin Wanghai was undamaged and there were no casualties. The government is carrying out repairs, and the Environmental Protection Bureau believes that this incident will not affect the public's viewing of peach blossoms next year. Xiang Chang, Zhi Ziaduo, Chen Zhen, Kita, Xian Hezi, and Qi Wei sat on the sofa at Zhi Ziaduo's house. Xiang Cheng had a bandage wrapped around his head. Dane and Chen Hao each were in a dining table chair, but Zhi Ziaduo didn't have enough cups at home, so he had to pour some tea into a bowl for them. Fengli and Lang Dog sat on the ground, squeezing the 20 square meters living room to death. "This is for you." Xiang Cheng took out a flattened box containing a mess of a cake. Zhi Ziaduo. Xiang Cheng used a spoon to stir through the mess for a while and pulled out 2 diamond rings from the pitiful cake. Zhi Ziaduo's hand went to his forehead. "This would have been the dessert for lunch today." "Yes," Xiang Cheng said, "but because of those 2 bastards." "Forget it." Zhi Ziaduo wiped the rings clean. They were the same rings he had made for Xiang Cheng before, but now with diamonds set in them. So, he casually put it on, went to get burn medicine, and applied it to Lang Dog's back. "Lang Dog, Daddy, can I eat the cake?" Zhi Ziaduo took a big spoon and scooped some cake for Lang Dog to eat. "You two better explain the situation to me clearly," Xiang Cheng said to Dane. "Do you know how much trouble you've caused us with what you've done?" Dane said, "I'm truly very, very sorry. We will definitely compensate you for your losses." "Can you afford it?" Xiang Cheng said coldly. "Dane, Your Majesty, the Dragon of China, we also had no choice in this, and we are very, very..." Dane's veries were not over yet when Chen Zhen interrupted, "No need to apologize. Let's first talk about how you plan to compensate us, Ba." "Dane, I will provide a sum of money as both compensation and for reconstruction costs." "Xiang Cheng, how much do you plan to give us?" Dane said, 30 million euros. "Are you satisfied with this number?" Lang Dog was eating happily and suddenly choked. He coughed a few times and spat out a bank card. Xiang Cheng immediately thought of something and said, "The card is also for you, it contains pocket money." Zhi Ziaduo, "Oh, how much money is there?" Xiang Cheng casually replied, "Over 2 billion, the password is your birthday." "Let me tell you, Dane, your so-called compensation is not enough to cover the cost of materials that my wife used for making 2 magical artifacts. If you really want to apologize, then give me a clear explanation of Lord Han's hiding place now." Dane. Xian Hezi immediately said, "Ziaduo, can you lend me the card so I can take a look at it?" Zhi Ziaduo gave it to Xian Hezi, and Xian Hezi then asked, "Ziaduo, can you give me some? 1 million is enough, you can't use it all anyway." Chen Zhen coughed and said, "According to prescribed procedures, you two have already committed crimes. It's not a matter of money at this point." Dane said, "I also had no choice but to seek help from China, Your Majesty the Dragon of China. I really don't know where Lord Han's hiding place is. I know that all of my wealth does not even count as a tiny fraction of your pocket money, but I sincerely ask for your help. I have done everything I can to travel to all countries, all just to save Lord Han. For this goal, I don't even mind sacrificing my own life," Dane then said. "If you want me to spend my whole life in prison in China, then I think I am willing to accept this punishment as long as you can restore Lord Han." After a moment of silence in the hall, Chen Hao let out a sigh. "You're still a child," Xiang Cheng said, "naive." Dane replied, "I've been described that way by many people." Zhi Ziaduo suddenly spoke up and said, "Let's talk about Lord Han first, Ba. What exactly is going on?" "Mission. Object, Dragon. Name, Lord Han. Hazard level, SS. Gender, male. Location of appearance, unknown. Task details. 6 years ago, I met a man in Greece. 6 years ago. N, 6 years, When I was 16 years old. Where should I start? I have to start the story with our first embrace. The one who first bit me was Lord Han. Zhi Xiaoduo looked at Chen Hao and then at Dane, as if he understood something now. What is a first bite? Xian Hezi asked. It's an impure thing, said Zhi Xiaoduo said to Xian Hezi. Don't ask. No, Dane said, it's very pure. What I mean by pure is not the same as what you mean, explained Zhi Xiaoduo. The Chinese language is extensive and profound. To avoid this straight man asking about the details of the process and associating it with some other things. You understand? Dane immediately said, ah, yes, as long as you understand. Are you a vampire? Xiang Cheng asked. Yes, said Dane, Mr. Chen is as well. He's only 22 this year, Chen Hao said. He's not old, and mentally, he's even younger. Dane thought for a moment and said, I was born into a very ancient family with a history of over 400 years. Mr. Chen has been our butler since 120 years ago. As the last heir of this family, I needed to study like an ordinary person and also undergo exorcism training. The one who taught me swordsmanship was Mr. Chen, Dane said, and the one who taught me magic was Lord Han. When I was 16, I met Lord Han in Greece. He was a homeless man who had once served the King of England, the King of Scotland, the King of the Teutons. They called him the Black Knight. The Black Knight. Chen Zhen thought for a moment and said, in the end, he turned into a dragon. Yes, Dane said, he had lived for nearly 1,300 years, and his memories had blurred as the long river of time flowed on, but I know that the person they were talking about was him. A great Yaoguia that has been around for 1,300 years, said Zhi Xiaoduo. 1,300 years, Dane said. From a historical perspective, it may not be the longest, but it is very difficult to deal with. As for why he gave me this first bite, I think you may not be interested in knowing the whole process, so let me focus on the key points. When I met him, he was being tracked by the Vatican Knights. He knew my family, and many years ago, he made a vow with my ancestors that the only one who could personally kill him was a descendant of my family. He had lived long enough by then, so long that in those long years, the devil magic he used had fused and the chaotic spells caused his body to undergo changes. He was tormented by dark forces and prayed day and night for my appearance, so fate brought us together. Chen Zhen said, since he was begging for death, why didn't he surrender and let the Pope purify him? Dane thought for a moment and said, the Pope doesn't have the ability to do so. They can only burn his body with holy water and lock up Lord Han's soul, maybe in a small bottle or maybe in some other holy artifact. He didn't want to become a prisoner, he just wanted a complete liberation. So, he started training me, Dane explained, teaching me many spells, hoping I could find a way to kill him, but, Everyone stared at Dane. We fell in love later, Dane said. Maybe it was because I sympathized with him, maybe it was because of something else. Anyway, I feel like I love him. Yes, I am certain that I love him. I am willing to take responsibility for his crimes, and I hope he can live on. No one said a word in the hall. Dane said, I hope to find a way to give him a new life. In his body, there is evil blood flowing, and every day he is tormented by this dark force. 4 years afterwards, his body had developed some reactions. Where do these dark powers come from? Zhi Xiaoduo hit the nail on the head. Dane. I don't know. After a brief silence, Dane said, curses, a great many of them, some of which came from powerful monsters he killed, some from the legendary hell of our Western world, and some from the aftermath of having to trade with demons to defeat strong enemies. But please believe me, Dane then said, he is a good person who has always been trying to control himself and not be influenced by the evil forces inside his body. This has not been an easy thing to do. It's a bit like Xiang Cheng from before, Zhi Xiaoduo thought to himself. He glanced at Xiang Cheng and sure enough, Xiang Cheng was also thinking the same thing. He placed his hand on the back of Zhi Xiaoduo's hand and remained silent. What do you want to say? Chen Zhen asked Zhi Xiaoduo. It comes from the earth veins. Zhi Xiaoduo said, the evil energy you are talking about is from the earth veins in our eastern world, and the demon Mara. The soul of the dragon has remnant left over from the demonization of powerful creatures. Therefore, he has been corrupted by devil power, and it is precisely because of this that he was scared of our moonlight stones. Perhaps. Dane shrugged, anyway, I think I found the right place. While we were dating, he tried almost every possible method to become human again. He wanted to be redeemed, but had no way out. All religions see him as a demon. In the end, he was demonized, Zhi Xiaoduo said. Demonization. Dane thought for a moment and said, maybe. There was a curse from a demon dragon inside him, and that guy. I don't know what it's called. What is the relationship between Lorcan and that dragon? Qi Wei asked, a contract or symbiosis? Neither, Dane said. According to what he said when he was still in control, he drank a cup of dragon blood provided by an alchemist and gained tremendous power, but the curse of the dragon blood constantly tormented him. Finally, as we tried to undo a seal inside his body, the soul remnants of the dragon possessed him. I didn't know when he would go mad, so I had to find a way to lock him up, Dane said. Then I slowly worked to find a solution. Sometimes when he wakes up, we get along as usual. It hasn't been easy for you, Xiang Cheng said. It was really so much like Xiang Cheng, and Zhi Xiaoduo began to gradually feel that Lorcan was as Dane described, a righteous person, because until the end, they had not given up on hope. For this reason, Zhi Xiaoduo decided to temporarily forgive them for making a mess of his date. And then what happened? Chen Zhen asked. I found something to try from an ancient book, said Dane. In this world, there is a creature called a firebird, and I think maybe if we use it, it can give Lorcan a new life. Zhi Xiaoduo. What is that? Xiang Cheng asked. Zhi Xiaoduo sighed to himself, Dane was indeed very smart. It's a phoenix, Zhi Xiaoduo said, so is that why you came to China? Yes, Dane said. The origin of the firebird, no, its birthplace is on the eastern continent. England used to have a few but they are nowhere to be found now. I thought that in China, we may be able to find help, so I approached Mr. Qi and made this request but he said you guys were playing a role-playing game. Xiang Cheng. Zhi Xiaoduo. Qi Wei. Qi Wei, Dane, you didn't tell me such a complicated story at all. You just said that you wanted to meet some Chinese exorcists and conduct a cultural exchange between the East and the West. And I didn't even know you before. Everyone didn't know whether to cry or laugh as Qi Wei explained to Xiang Cheng and the others. He came over with Director Ding's introduction letter and asked for Teacher De Shuman, who then introduced him to me. Stop, Xiang Cheng said, I won't hold you accountable. Is there anything else? Dane said dejectedly, there's nothing else. What do you want us to do now? Chen Zhen asked. Dane said, help me, and you will receive my sincerest friendship. Xian Hezi said, will that 30 million be divided among all of us? Zhi Xiaoduo. I'll consider it, Xiang Cheng said. For the next few days, you guys behave. If anything happens, I'll break your legs and have you deported. China is my territory. Dane said, I can't guarantee whether or not Lorcan will be controlled by the dragon again. Xiang Cheng said, then feel free to pray to any god but Dane. Chen Zhen stood up and said, everyone rest first but Xiang Cheng, you. I will send my subordinates to closely monitor any movements in Guangzhou, Xiang Cheng replied as he extinguished his cigarette. You'll have to figure out some way to explain this to Beijing yourself. We can't use the will of eternity anymore. Okay, Chen Zhen replied. During this period, the special action team will be on standby in Guangzhou, and I will notify the local exorcist committee to be on priority 1 alert. End chapter.